Hello there, everyone. Good day, and welcome to another fun-filled adventure into the realm of evolutionary astrology with your host, Ryan Evans. Today, we are going to be talking about part one. I could probably break it into 1,000 parts over 1,000 days, how thick this material can be, but part one of the upcoming adventure of transiting South Node in Scorpio. Most specifically, we'll be talking about transiting South Node in Scorpio through the houses and how that may play out in your own biography. Before we jump into the meat and potatoes, if you will, of this here astrological observation, it is imperative that I give you my astrology disclaimer and talk to you a little bit about who this guy is that is on this screen talking to you. First off, I am Ryan Evans. I'm a certified master level astrologer with the Stephen Forrest School of Evolutionary Astrology. I have been studying this here astrology stuff for, I guess now, how old am I? Probably 30 years I've been engaged in the astrological adventures. And I've considered myself a professional paid astrologer. Maybe it's the paid that makes it legitimate. Astrologer for the last, 15 years or so. And it is very important for me to say that just because I've been studying this most of my life and I've been practicing for a quarter of my life, I still haven't got this all figured out. So under no circumstances is what I'm about to say an end all be all to the answers and definitions of astrology. No, I'm Sagittarius enough to know that this is an exploration, that all of our meanings and myths and metaphors are in a state of development, that as we evolve as conscious beings, new information is continually revealed to us. I don't know, maybe new strands of DNA awaken within us, or new cosmic vibrations are downloaded on us, or what have you. Make up your own definitions there. But this astrology is constantly growing. It's malleable, and it is, like anything in quantum physics, is affected by our perception and projections upon it. So very important that you know that what I'm about to say here are things, other than the astronomical facts that we're going to talk about. The astrology, that's where the art comes in, where the interpretation comes in, where the archetypes combine with our experience and our imagination to elicit the meanings that are specific for ourselves. I'm going to talk about the benefits and the liabilities here of Scorpio energy, and how to integrate parts of the shadow into our lives, and how to understand that Scorpio exists in polarity with Taurian energy, the way light exists in a polarity with dark, that we only know light by knowing dark, and vice versa. So, and everything I'm about to say, please don't take my word for it, but go ahead and make up your own mind regarding anything that I'm about to say here. So anything else in the disclaimer other than this is my opinion and is absolutely no substitute for adequate professional psychological or psychiatric advice regarding anything I'm about to say? No, I guess I can't think of anything else. So let's jump in. The transiting nodes. Now, first off, before I talk about the meanings and the whys and the wherefores regarding what the meaning is of the transiting nodes, let's first make sure we're very clear on the astronomy of what we're talking about. Most of astrology deals with physicalities, with what could be considered causal relations, where there is a large planet like Jupiter that has a seemingly insignificant, but still a gravitational effect on the Earth, 0.006% that of the sun's gravitational influence, but still an influence. And so this causal influence affects our the gravitational and electromagnetic fields of the Earth. We have flavins in our cryptochromes and our mitochondria and all of our cells that respond to the subtle fluctuations in the electromagnetic field of the Earth, and that the angular relation of Jupiter to the Earth has therefore a very small, but it still has an effect on us. So there are these causal parts of astrology where we can say, oh yeah, well, the sun, it's so strong. I mean, or how about this? I was born in the season of Sagittarius, and therefore all of the motivating operatives endemic to that season are somehow pushed upon me. And whereas, Sagittarius, yahoo, everything's going into darkness, might as well have fun while it lasts kind of energy of the season of Sagittarius somehow describes myself and my personality. Well, yeah, there are some truths to that. But again, we're looking at things. We're looking at the obvious changes of the season, or the obvious effects of gravity or electromagnetism, or strong and weak nuclear forces for that matter, on the human body. But the nodes are points. The nodes are mathematical calculations that show if there were an eclipse at any moment, this is where it would be. So the astronomy of the nodes, very relatively simply, is that the Earth orbits the sun on a plane called the ecliptic, and the moon orbits the Earth in a plane of orbit too, but it's inclined about 5 degrees, a little more, to the ecliptic. So we've got this one big circle, the celestial equator, the line between the center of the Earth and the center of the sun. And then we've got those places where the moon comes around and intersects that plane. There's an eclipse. The moon's path gets in between the Earth and the sun's path, and there's an eclipse. Or the Earth gets in the way of the normal electromagnetic flow between the moon and the sun, and there's another eclipse. So the nodes of the moon are these places where there is potentially an eclipse at any given moment. Now, when the moon is tilted 5 degrees in relation to the celestial equator. And so when the moon in its orbit rises above that line, we call this the ascending or the north node. And when the moon in its orbit dips below this straight line between the sun and the Earth, we call that the descending node or the south node. Now, we astrologers, what we do is we take these astronomical events and we make little poems out of them. We anthropomorphize them. and say, wow, what would that be if that were a human? What would Jupiter be if it were human? Jupiter, the biggest planet. Wow, almost had enough mass to be its own sun, almost. So what part of me is that biggest part of me that calls me to my greatness? That's all astrology is. Well, not all astrology is, but that's one beautiful way of looking at it. Oh, the sun, it's so bright and shining, and we eat stored sunlight. Well, what is it that feeds us? What is it that illuminates our life, our existence? There's the astrological sun in comparison to what the astronomical sun actually does. So we do the same with everything. So when we're looking at the nodes of the moon, astronomically, we're looking at eclipse points. And what are eclipses? Again, the places where the moon gets in between the normal electromagnetic and gravitational relationship between the Earth and the sun, or the Earth gets in the way of the normal electromagnetic and gravitational influence between the moon and the sun. And so what we're looking at astronomically are interruptions in energy. And whenever there are interruptions in energy, there is the possibility, I mean, this is theory, I'll call it what it is, but in the theory, when there are these interruptions, then new information can come in. Then there's the potential for downloads to come into human awareness or into our field. And on a very esoteric level, you can believe me or not, souls enter or leave this realm at times of eclipses. So we astrologers look at these eclipse points in the following manner. Well, let me put it this way. It is, it's feeling that encourages us to observe north as moving forward and south as backwards. If we look at the orbit of the Earth around the sun, north is pretty much north for all of the planets. Don't ask me about Uranus right now, but for most of the planets, our north is pretty much, there's some variances, but pretty much the north of every planet. And in the direction of north is also the direction of the trajectory of the sun around the galactic center. So we're basically moving north through space. I mean, it's all relative, right? Because what's true north in the galaxy? But in relation to the direction that all of the planets are orbiting the sun, and in the direction that the sun is moving forward in its travels through the galaxy, north is equated to forward motion. North is that place that we are going to. North is that place that we haven't quite gotten to yet, but is our destiny. South, well, we've been there. We know that. We can look back and we can calculate it. We can document where we've been pretty easily. And so the south node of the moon, in terms of the soul's evolution, souls coming in and out of this field, the south node then represents where we have been, and the north node represents where we are going, very quickly and very easily. And again, this could be a 7-day workshop just on that alone. So I'm try to break that down into 5, 8, 10 minutes. so we can get on with more information. So the moon crosses the ecliptic heading north. We've got the ascending or north node. The moon crosses the ecliptic going south. We have the south node or the descending node. This then gives us humans an opportunity to project meaning onto it, a definition of astrology, and say that the north node is where our souls are headed. The best idea, the best suggestion as to how to move forward, because that's the best direction to go. And the south node of the moon then represents where we have been. Now this is very, very important. Is where we have been bad or wrong? Absolutely not. So I do know that there are some minds in the astrological community that will equate the south node to something that we have to avoid, something that we have to get over, something that is this hellish circumstance that if we choose to engage in, it will somehow completely mess up and destroy our evolutionary process. So it all means don't do the south node, just do the north node. The only problem with that is that the south node in where we have been, that has incredible weight. Again, I can put on charts and graphs and document to no end where we have been. I also have no idea where we're going. So there's all this information contained in where we have been, and all of this possibility, potential, or suggestion as to where we're going. So what's a guy or gal or whomever to do? The word is integrate. Everything in astrology is about integration. Everything in astrology exists in a set of polarities. Polarities, the astrological opposition, the lunar phase of the full moon, the axis of Cancer and Capricorn, all about integration. How to take one piece, learn from it, understand it, get the wisdom from it, and then apply that to the choices that we can move forward with. It would be foolish for all of us to disregard the past. Oh, I've got a south node in Libra, therefore peace, harmony, good relations. Why would I possibly need that? They're just going to screw me up. I have a north node in Aries. That means I need to be a selfish warrior who only wants what they want and, forget everybody else. Absolutely not. There's nothing, I mean, there's stuff in the literature that might say something like that, but no, it's about taking the beautiful abilities, talents, and experiences of Libran energy, working cooperatively, working consciously with other people, acknowledging that other people are valid. That can be really empowering, Aries. That can help reflect to us what it means to be a strong individual, North Node in Aries. So whenever we're talking about nodes, and I've kind of been talking more about nodes in the birth chart than transiting nodes, which is what we'll be talking about in depth here. But whenever we're talking about the nodes in either of them, the best thing to do is to integrate the best of all possible experiences from the past into the present so that we can make healthy, conscious choices for the future. If there are shadows, if there are darknesses, if there are habits, if there are tendencies, if there are hang-ups from the past, looking to the past for awareness as to what those are is very, very important. Otherwise, it becomes suppression, repression, or denial. And as any of us who have any Scorpio in our chart know, that suppression, repression, and denial will only, in the end, kick our butts. So we want to avoid that. We want to, again, look at the beauty of whatever hell we have experienced in our life, so as to use it in a healthy way in our forward growth. Enter the transiting nodes. So right now, transiting nodes, transiting south node is in the early degrees of transiting north node is in the early degrees of Gemini. There's not an eclipse happening right now. The moon isn't anywhere near these nodes, but these points still exist. Now, these mathematical points, again, they don't feel like, or we may not assume that they have the weight of Jupiter, don't have the gravity of the sun. So they exist in terms of suggestion. I'd like to call them intuition. You know, how you can be sitting there on the bus and doing nothing in particular, just waiting for the stop, and all of a sudden we get some strange thought out of nowhere, not attached to any emotion, that maybe we should ding the bell and get off the bus. We get this gentle feeling. And then the mind comes up, right? No, don't listen to that. That's nothing important. That's just, that makes no sense. My mind can't calculate why there would be an intuition. So the mind's often stronger. We stay on the bus. And at that stop that we could have gotten off on, therein come the thugs and the gang members, and they come and sit right down next to you, and they're staring you down, and they motion to your wallet. And what are you gonna do? You know, put yourself into a position of possible physical abuse? No, you might give them the wallet, or hey, maybe you've got some ninja skills, and you know, they're laying on the floor, and you get off the bus and everything's fine. But if you don't have those ninja skills, you probably could have, should have, would have listened to your intuition. Maybe we get jumped on the bus and we didn't listen to our intuition. We get off the bus and we say, oh God, I should have listened to my intuition. Welcome to the feeling of the transiting nodes. It's a soft, silent voice that calls us to the suggestion of the north node. Because the transiting south node can be so loud, like the monkey mind can be so loud. And that gentle little suggestion is so soft, but so important. So a very good way to think about the transiting nodes is that the transiting south node is that very loud voice from possible experience that would say, oh my gosh, this is, you know, why would you get off the bus? You've got another block and a half to go. I mean, there's no, just this is what you're supposed to do. And again, the north node being that gentle suggestion. And the transiting nodes are like that feeling of a permeating feeling in collective consciousness. These transiting nodes, we're going to talk about how they can specifically manifest in an individual's chart, but them being transiting points, there's something that is affecting the tone of reality for all of us. And so we're all feeling that in some way. Case in point, right now with transiting South Node in Sagittarius, a general feeling of the last year has been belief systems. I believe, not meant to trigger anybody here, just to show how this stuff works, nor am I offering an opinion either way, just to asterisk side note and absolve myself from any potential liability regarding this. But vaccines. There are people out there in the big world who I feel could shoot you if you did not get a vaccine. You are the problem of everything. You didn't get your vaccine. You deserve to die. I have seen those belief systems exist. Concurrently, on the opposite polarity of belief systems, how could you possibly get a vaccine? Don't you know that that's filled with mind control apparati and microscopic intelligent AI, artificial intelligent mini robots that are going to control you? Don't you know that it's a giant scam of population reduction and mind control? That's a very strong belief, as is its opposite, a very strong belief. And what do we have in shadow Sagittarius but the crippling effects of what a one-pointed belief can do? I have seen families torn asunder because some individuals might choose to get vaccinated and some individuals might choose not to get vaccinated. Death of the family over belief systems. Now, here's what I'm suggesting regarding this topic. Those who believe either side of this conundrum have facts and figures to back up the beliefs. Anyone who is anti-vaccination has thousands of YouTube videos with thousands of credentialed doctors all saying that there may be a problem with the vaccines. And concurrently, all those who are pro-vaccination, there is a mainstream media that is promoting that vaccines are healthy and there's no problem with them, and you should all take them or else we're all going to die. Two very valid viewpoints at complete and utter war with each other. So what we have been seeing heretofore is this energy reflected in the transiting South Node of Sagittarius, and how belief systems themselves can be so incredibly damaging to the whole. Enter the North Node, transiting North Node in Gemini, which says to listen, which says to gather information, which says to not come to any conclusion until you've got like all of the information. That means seeing both sides, right? Gemini, one pillar, another pillar, heaven and earth. If you just look through one lens, heaven is going to be tipping and there's no strong earth to hold on to, and the whole thing's going to come crashing down. Having perspective with the right eye, perspective with the left eye, then can give good perspective in holding both sides of the equation. So over the last year and up till the end of the year, when the nodes change signs, it is currently very, very, very important. The gentle suggestion is the Gemini listening part and not coming to solid conclusions. Now, we can do what we know we need to do for ourselves. Some of us really, really need to be vaccinated for our meaning and our purpose and our belief system and everything that we know as true. That's necessary. And so we have done that. But that also means that it doesn't mean that those with differing opinions are invalid. If they have differing opinions, maybe there's something to that. Maybe there's something to listen to. Maybe there's some information that we are choosing not to see because it runs counter to our expectations of our beliefs. How incredibly difficult is that? If we completely believe that this is the way to do it, how can we listen to somebody else? So you can see how transiting nodes have a deep effect on culture because they reflect an undercurrent of assumption, an undercurrent of tone. We're talking about the nodes of the moon, and the moon is not rational. The moon is emotional. The moon is about feeling. And I feel like I need to be vaccinated, and so therefore the rest of the world does too, or else you all deserve to die. Just like the Catholic Church said, if you're a witch and you practice herbalism, then you're gonna die. How did that help? It didn't. Maybe those witches had some information that the rest of us actually needed to hear. And concurrently, from the other side of the stadium, oh, you are contributing to promoting the promulgation of variants because you've been vaccinated and there's no herd immunity, and don't you know what you're putting into your body? What if you turn into a zombie? You have strong belief. So right now, until the end of the year, and for the last year, it's so important to listen. So important to hold the possibility that our own opinion is just that, opinion. So to open up to the facts, it takes a lot of strength, that takes a lot of willpower to if we have a solid belief, South Node in Sagittarius, to open up to listening to another point of view, North Node in Gemini. But that's the suggestion right now. You want to keep your family together. Half is vax, half is anti-vax. Oh my God. How about I love you? Tell me more about your position. Oh, I love you too. Tell me more about your position. Or it can be, you deserve to die, mother. No, God, no. It's not going to help. So that's an example of what we've been through. Now I'm going to change the mythology into the Scorpio Taurus polarity, and we're going to see how things might be taken to another level of intensity here. But me showing this very real experience right now with transiting nodes, chances are all of those who are listening to this have had some very strong opinions regarding this current COVID crisis, where it comes from, why it exists, where it's going, what it's doing, where, who started it, who's supposed to finish it, what we're supposed to do about it. So right now, again, the gentle suggestion from intuition, from the transiting North Node, is saying, hey, calm down, stay open to new information coming in all the time, gather the information, make some lists, listen without projection. Beautiful Gemini words. Just open up and receive for right now. Because honestly, astrologically speaking, all the information isn't in yet. So, transiting nodes. If we really look at this, we can see that the transiting nodes are our collective tendencies. It's like a pulse of the feeling of the collective. South Node in Sagittarius right now, a pulse on the feeling of the collective is that everybody's wanting to be happy, everybody's wanting to find the meaning of everything, and then everybody forms beliefs as to what the best is and trying to live their life in accordance with that belief system. How can that complicate things and mess things up? But at the same time, how can we also look at this as beautiful, healthy Sagittarius in exploring the deeper meanings? If we just stopped at, oh yes, I'm going to do exactly what the government tells me to do, or concurrently, I'm going to do the opposite of exactly what the government tells me to do. We're looking at limiting belief systems. But as soon as we start really exploring the depths of the meaning, we can use that Sagittarian quality to open up more deeply to the Gemini gathering and listening, and they can work together in a beautiful synergy of the exploration of meaning and purpose, by not projecting what it is until we really actually get all the information in. So number one, the transiting nodes are our collective tendencies, transiting South Node, and our collective best suggestions. The transiting nodes talk about the feeling of the collective unconscious and the suggestions as to how to make the unconscious conscious. The transiting nodes are therefore default reactions and responses to any stimuli that happens in culture. If I wanted to control culture, I would pay special attention to the transiting nodes and put out information or propaganda so as to promote my point of view in manipulation, because I have that power knowing the transiting nodes of the moon. But I don't do that. That would be funny though. The transiting nodes are the mood, is the mood of the people, the natural default. And so what I'm going to be talking about, which looks like in the mostly the next part of this short series, is where these energies percolate up in our lives, and how to work with them in the most conscious way possible, so as to not fall into the potential shadows of the transiting South Node, and how to actualize and remember and actualize the best of all possible expressions of the transiting North Node. So let's take a look at this. Well, what's the date? I'm thinking off the Off the top of my head, not having the exact date here, I want to say it's the 23rd, 22nd, 23rd of December, 2021, the nodes change signs. Without getting more into the astronomy, it's important for me to say, though, that the nodes are almost always in retrograde due to the speed of the moon and the orbit and the relationship to the seasons, etc. The nodes of the moon precess backwards, so they go from Capricorn to Sagittarius to Scorpio. And so at the end of December, the nodes transit from, south node transits from Sagittarius into Scorpio. So we just talked about a lot of the meaning of the south node of the moon in Sagittarius. What about the south node of the moon in Scorpio? Again, there's a day-long lecture. I'm going to try to talk about in the next 15 minutes or so. Scorpio. Thinking in terms of the seasons, in Libra, we've brought in the harvest and it's the last of the beautiful days. There may be, in the northern hemisphere, there may be some warm days still in October, but we know that the leaves are falling and the tomatoes, when they hit the first hard frost, will die. And so when we come to Scorpio season, we have an awareness of death. The tomatoes die. The beautiful, abundant season of life, ushered in by Aries and sustained by Cancer, and all of the beauty of the growing season. Come to Scorpio, it's dead. And I'm laughing. I can hear some Scorpios out there saying, "Oh my God, the tragedy. The tomatoes are dead." Now, I, with all of my personal planets, and not all of them, but several personal planets in Scorpio, have a deep affinity with this season. I know that death isn't the end. I've been a farmer for 25 years. I know that it is beautiful to take all those dead tomatoes and the rotten lettuce and the old moldy cucumbers and throw them into the compost heap, because I know in that space, magic and beauty and transformation occur. Alchemy. This is the beauty of metamorphosis that takes the caterpillar, turns it into a goo, Scorpio, and then it's reborn as a butterfly. That's the beauty of Scorpio energy. But in the meantime, from just a very myopic point of view, everything's dead. So if everything's going to die, we can take that experience and color all of life darkly. Oh, yeah, well, Libra's really nice and we can get into, relationship, but invariably my crap is going to come up and her crap is going to come up, and then my crap and her crap are going to do a little dance, and then it'll all be crap. So what's the point of getting into relationship if it's just my pain and your pain doing a little dance? Woohoo! Anybody ever experienced that in relationship? Of course you have. Although, no, not of course. I mean, maybe everything's perfect and, we just stay in Libra. Yes, dear, everything's fine. Mwah. Oh, yes, everything is fine. Mwah. Have a nice day, dear. Okay, here's some more roses. I mean, it can be very pleasant, and that's true, but going deeper, it's what Scorpio does. Scorpio goes deeper. The beauty of Scorpio says, all right, if everything's dead, well, why? Or how? Or what are we going to do about it? Or how do we stay happy amidst the death? How do we stay passionate, engaged, and celebratory and happy if everything dies? That's the beauty of Scorpio right there, is that is the process. That amidst the challenge, amidst the hell, amidst our partner's crap coming up, amidst our crap being triggered, the engagement of that is ultimately for the transformation of those emotions to come to that place of healing where we have a conscious acknowledgement of our own crap and how to maybe next time not project that onto our partner. Or if we're feeling it, own it and get the full depth of the feeling, of the drama, of the intensity, of the shadow, of the darkness, of the passion within us, and feel that in its totality until it does actually heal. And we can't calculate how long that will take, and we can't say if it's going to be a slap in the face or shamanic drum and eagle feather, chemical or magical epiphany in a dream or waking reflection. There's no telling. Is there a point at which the tomato in its decomposition magically is now the fertilizer? No, it's a process. So one of the most important things to consider through 2022 and half of 2023 is the process of healing that will be available to all of us, quite possibly by the increase in volume of the possible shadow experiences of human existence. I really don't want to sugarcoat it and say, oh, transiting South Node is going to move into Scorpio, and we're all going to have these transformative shamanic healing experiences where we simply lay down on the table and get adjusted by our chiropractor and wake up feeling great and like all of our darkness is healed. No. I'm going to project onto the future because that's what we astrologers do. I'll call it what it is. I'm going to project onto the future that the next year and a half coming up here, starting in a few months, is going to be on some level an encounter with everything that we have suppressed, repressed, or denied over the last 18 and a half years. And to this scorpionic individual, I say, yes. I say, bring it. Oh my God, Ryan, how could you say that? How can you say that you want the darkness or the shadow to exist and come into our face? It's because psychologist Fritz Perls said consciousness is curative. And you can't cure or heal anything that we're not conscious of. And so I could surmise that some of those truths we have overlooked or refused to become aware of collectively as the South Node has transited through Sagittarius, that their shadows will emerge as the South Node transits through Scorpio. That everything and anything that we individually have suppressed, repressed, or denied as being too uncomfortable or too hard or too scary or too dark or too shadow to experience, it will be time for us to go into our depths go into our darkness, go into our shadows, go into our, and begin to explore what is there. Is this a good thing? Now, for those of us who, again, have strong Scorpio tendencies already, some of us are saying, yes, bring it. Yes, the shadow behind the curtain of Oz has been hidden too long, and to become aware of the dark forces that may be in or in partial control of this existence, this society, this world, it is important for those to be exposed. And so I don't want to discount the need for awareness of the intensities. There are dark things, there are shadow things, manipulations abound, control by powers that be are thick. There's violence out there. There's coercion out there. And just personally, in all of us, we all have needs. Some of those needs can be really insatiable. And some of those needs for love, money, power, control, some of those aren't bad things. Who doesn't need love? And what's wrong with money? And, I like to feel personally empowered, and I like to have some control over my existence. But when we're looking at the South Node, we're looking at some of the more shadow and incontrollable gravitational pulls of these darker aspects of our being. So love, money, power, control can percolate up into our lives as insatiable needs. And it's the trick with Scorpio is that we can only suppress, repress, or deny for so long. Because then it starts to feel like a volcano that's about to explode, and then the volcano explodes, and that's where Scorpio gets its bad rap of being too intense or too passionate or too dramatic. But when it comes down to it, Scorpio just wants to heal all that stuff. And in all of that stuff, find the true essence of the joy of life. Everything's going to die in Scorpio. Scorpio represents the archetype of death and transformation. There's no getting around that. It is the integration of this experience into life that we need. And so as Scorpio transits, as South Node transits through Scorpio, 2022 and half of 23, our need to become aware of our shadows and why they exist and how they exist is paramount. Here's the trick. The idea, though, isn't to stay there. The idea isn't to swim around in the crap. The idea isn't to swim around in the drama and the intensity and the passion. Yes, Scorpio wants to heal. And there's magic in that. There's transformation. It's deep, the deepest healing possible. But we don't want to create that. And the tendency of a South Node in Scorpio by transit is that the collective energy is generally less than conscious. And so the collective energy of transiting South Node in Scorpio, people may feel really intense. People may feel like they want to lash out. People may feel like they need to get their own. People may feel more manipulative or trying to get more power, get more control. That's part of the scary part of what the upcoming possibilities might be, is that the less conscious we are of the shadows of these archetypes, the greater potential those unconscious attributes may percolate up to the surface. So the idea isn't to swim around in the hell. The idea is to say, oh, hey, I'm swimming in a cesspool of hell. How do I get out of this? Or not even how do I get out of this? How do I integrate the fact that this darkness, these shadow parts of me, the shadow parts of the world exist? How do I, North Node and Taurus, how do I ground all of this? How am I able to maintain my own stability, strength, self-worth, and consciousness amidst all of this hell? So I want to be very careful. It'd be very easy for me to say, okay, everybody, hold on to your hats. Oh, by the way, there's a Pluto return happening next year of the United States, and Pluto, the ruler of Scorpio, that's going to be pretty powerful with the South Node and Scorpio, and we're looking at a pretty plutonic year next year. Go ahead, everybody, be afraid. There's going to be some hell happening next year. $5, please. I'm saying that there are potentials for awareness of the shadows coming to the surface. And so in the awareness of the potential of the shadows coming to the surface, it then becomes our motivating operative. It becomes our prerogative. It becomes incredibly necessary for us to be as conscious as we can. How do we get as conscious as we can? We integrate the suggestions of the North Node. And that's literally all the North Node is, by transit or in our birth chart. The North Node is a magnificent suggestion. If you want to heal the intensity, the passion, the drama, if you want to heal death, ooh, how do we do that? Ooh, please deposit another 25 cents, please. We heal the fear of death, which is the future, by being in the present moment right now. Taurus and Scorpio. That if we can be in the present moment of now, what do we say? We say, well, what's the body doing? Well, I'm sitting here in this chair. I'm relatively relaxed. It's a warm day in Wisconsin now. I've got the fan on me here, and I've got some beverage here refreshing me. And that's what the body needs. All very simple. Nowhere in that did I say, and I'm suffering from the intensity of being on a public stage, making up a lecture as I go. I may be feeling that, but I'm not going to give you the impression that I'm feeling that. Oops. But I am going to be real with you and say that transiting North Node and Taurus is suggesting that I suggest to you that coming back to the body, keeping it very simple, understanding the step-by-step practicalities of life, very, very important. And where do we start with that? We start in the present moment. And in that present moment, we say, what is the body doing? Oh, I'm breathing. Oh my God, there, right there. That's like one of the most healing things that we can do over the next year and a half, 2 years here, is to breathe and to calm down. And from then that North Node and Taurus suggested place of calm, practicality, gratitude, and ease, we can then take a look at the hardcore stuff, the shadows, the darkness, the obsessions, the needs, the drama, the intensity, the passion, and we can then integrate that into the present moment. And we can also filter out what of that is fear of the past or fear of the future. If there are realities, oh my gosh, this dark thing is fast approaching me, any warrior of old will tell you that the last thing you want to do is freak out. There's a warrior coming at you with a sword, and it is about to cut your head off. Scorpio, the more we can be in a balanced place, the more calm we have, the more strength we feel in our body, the more connected we are to our animal body and our instincts, Taurus, the easier it is to get out of the line of attack from the person that wants to chop our head off. So the integration of Taurus into Scorpio energy is going to be very, very, very important for us for the next several years, for the rest of our life. In fact, starting now, who needs the nodes to do it? But again, this is astrologically speaking, starting about the 22nd, 23rd of December, and then going for the next 18.6 months or whatever. So again, with all of astrology, we can look at timelines that are potential realities in the future. We can say, oh, next February, the United States has its first ever Pluto return. That happened to Rome when it fell. The English Empire almost was destroyed when it happened to them a couple of times. What's it going to be for us? What's it going to be for Western civilization? I don't know. It's Pluto. What are we not aware of? What do we not want to admit? What shadows may exist? So for me to say, oh, there's not going to be any shadow intensity drama over the next few years could be erroneous. And at the same time, I don't know what's going to happen. I do know that the nodes will transit through Scorpio and Taurus. And I do know that I do have an understanding that transiting South Node in Scorpio has a tendency to observe or experience all the dark shadow sides of existence. And I also do know that astrologically speaking, transiting North Node in Taurus says that our best suggestion is to maintain as much calm and presence as we possibly can amidst that. So again, this being part one of a series, this first part being the setup. The second part, next week, I'll be talking about how this energy can percolate up into our lives, specifically in relation to the houses that the nodes are transiting through. So I'm going to close with an understanding of what our best suggestions are for the next couple of years. Our best suggestions for getting through hell. Try to speak about it as lightly as possible. Our best suggestions as to getting out of hell is going through hell, first and foremost. And if dark shadow or intense or dramatic experiences occur collectively, over the next year and a half. Number one in importance is to know that there is no way out. There is only a way through. And the way through is with conscious awareness and engagement of the Scorpio process, first and foremost, which is consciousness, awareness, and I almost wanted to say submission to the darkness. It's not so much submission as it is acknowledgement of the process. So we get into the process and we acknowledge the fact that Scorpio energy is predominant. And so then the light, the headlamp that we can wear swimming through the darkness is Taurian energy. And Taurus says to calm the F down. Taurus says to allow for healing and even peace to occur. Taurus says to create moments where we can, like the cow on the hill, sit on the beautiful verdant growing green hill next to the daisies wafting in the breeze, and chewing on a blade of grass, remembering the sacredness of the beauty of our physical existence. Taurus says to be a body. And what does the body know? What does the body need? To take care of our bodies, to take care of our hearts, to do our yoga, to feed ourselves well, to remember the gentle, joyous pleasures in life of music and love and beauty. And so our best suggestion over the next couple years, and it sounds glib, but is to take it easy. And the intensity, the passions, the heat, the fear, it may be up. So I can't just say, shut up and calm down. It's not about that. It's about integrating. It's about the awareness of the intensity and doing what we can to calm down in the process. So we observe Scorpio tendencies and choose consciousness and ease when the drama and the fear come up. We feel all of the darkness and we don't run or hide or lie about it or lash out or project it onto somebody else, but we come back into our own center, we find our own groundedness, we come back to the basics, maybe buy a solar panel if we can, we garden, we take a bath, we get a massage, and then we have some more resources, Taurus, with which to engage all of those intensities. We work on our home, we love up our families, we join a CSA, we build up our resources. And so remembering these attitudes and these perspectives in our engagement with the upcoming fun of human existence will help to keep us on our path and allow us to not devolve into those places where the fear and the shadow can reign supreme. So that's what I have for this in part one of this series. Thank you all for playing along. And at this time, I could ask if anybody has any questions at this time.
Well, hi, Ryan. This is Sue.
Hi, Sue.
I do, while everybody else thinks, I do have a question. I noticed that you said that the nodes go switch in would you say November,
I think it's December.
December, and I noticed that. So I'm wondering if you're using the true nodes or the mean nodes, because I noticed that the true nodes switch in January.
Correct. Right. True nodes, mean nodes. The difference between a true node, meaning where you are specifically on the planet in relation to this hypothetical point in space, or the mean nodes, the center of the Earth and the center of the sun. The difference is whatever works for you in your practice. The argument between which is right is about as thick as the argument between sidereal and tropical astrology. No, Vedic astrology is right because we are looking at our relation with the galaxy. No, tropical astrology is right because we're looking at our relationship through the seasons. So therefore, I like to say, oh, you use the true nodes? Okay, then it's January. Yes, you're right. And
Awesome.
And I use mean nodes for on my astrology program, clicking the days, it pops up as the 22nd, 23rd. That works for me. I think the best thing to do regarding that is, Sue, you and I will have a little chat come the end of January, and we'll compare notes. Oh yeah, everything got really intense there right before Christmas. Oh, it wasn't until after New Year's that things got intense. See, it's the mean nodes. See, it's the true nodes. We'll talk then.
Good idea. Observe and correlate. I like it.
All right.
Does anybody else have a question? If you do, go ahead and unmute and ask. Otherwise, we'll wrap it up.
I have a question.
Hey.
Hi. Hi. So I'm wondering, I don't know what this series is going to bring, but are you going to be speaking to like planets as like specific planets and the role of them within this transiting south node?
Sure. The role of planets in relation to the transiting south nodes is part of my 7-day residential workshop. It's a very thick and very specific set of material looking at something that is not necessarily applicable to large amounts of people. Not everybody has Mercury on their south node, et cetera, et cetera. So what I'm going to be doing next week, I believe it's October 7th, is I'll be taking this transiting nodes through the houses. And so then I'm talking to, 1/12 of the population at a time. So so that'll be more applicable in terms of where these energies are manifesting and how to make the best use of these energies and how to avoid certain pitfalls regarding these energies.
Okay, great. Yeah, I have a very personal interest just because I have quite a stellium in Scorpio in my second house, and there's it's all square my nodes, my natal nodes. So it's speaking quite a bit to me personally. And that was, I guess, another question I had regarding like transiting nodes in relation to natal nodes and that kind of situation. I'm just
Yes, it's how the collective karma or the collective tone or the collective attitude affects our karmic or dharmic condition.
awesome. And will you be sharing the like a link to being able to sign up for your course, because that sounds really cool.
Signing up for
your 7-day workshop.
That is still in development, but go on Facebook and friend me on Facebook, Ryan Evans, and we can talk more about classes as they develop. Totally.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. This was great. I really appreciate this.
Yeah, you're so welcome, Winter.
Does anybody else have a question?
I was just gonna say Ryan's an excellent teacher, so definitely sign up for his classes when they're available if you can.
Oh, thanks, Rachel. Coming from one of my star students, yeah. You're not biased there, are you?
Nope, I'm a triple Scorpio. I only tell the truth.
There we go. Heard it from the goat's mouth there, or yeah. Llama, is that a llama?
I think so.
There it is. All right.
Okay, so shall we wind down?
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks everybody for playing along, and look for my lecture next week where we talk about this more specifically in terms of what to do about it and how to avoid certain hell.
Thank you so much, Ryan.
You're so welcome. Thank you, Sue, and be well, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.